The content discussed in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial or mortgage advice. Always consult with a licensed professional before making any decisions regarding mortgages or financial matters.
Welcome to the Canadian Mortgage Show. Here are mortgage professionals Alex Pang and Alex Shanks to cut through the BS and educate Canadians on all things mortgages and real estate.
Urbanation has basically kind of declared. There's essentially going to be no new condo completions in the GTA or GTHA, which includes Hamilton, 4 consecutive years of dropping sales, and because of that, no one's building right now.
Yep.
And the building timeline is typically 4 or 5 years. By the end of the decade, there's going to be no new completions at all.
We're in this nasty pendulum swing that we always talk about, Alex, that we're going to be like, oh, like, and it's fine. Like, hey, yes, there is not many sales, so like probably building right now, but we're then going to hit a demand point again, and it's going to drive prices up because we don't have the right supply. And so like we went really far that way, we went really far this way, and we got to somehow come into the middle.
Welcome to episode 72 of the Canadian Mortgage Show. Alex Pang here alongside Alex Shanks. Alex, Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl.
We're wearing some jerseys now.
All right, folks, any of you regular listeners who aren't Seahawks fans or NFL, you can fast forward 5 minutes because we're going to talk about this past weekend. Alex, you had a busy weekend. Tell us a little about it.
Yeah, well, if for all the people that are obviously watching on video, I'm in a Seahawks jersey, so is Alex, and I was lucky enough to go to the NFC Championship game here with my wife. This is mostly in benefit because of Alex selling us his season tickets, which was amazing. I mean, he got to see last week which was a really good game, but this, I don't know. I don't think we sat down once, Alex. Like, it was just excitement from the get-go, and it was back and forth. It was pretty upset when Woolen did cause that interference. That penalty was like, oh my god,
haunting, right?
Oh yeah, it was bad. It was like everyone in the field, everyone in the stadium was like, holy shit, it's over, it's done.
Like, what are you doing, right? Yeah.
And but no, I mean, just the back and forth. And I mean, I honestly, I would call the MVP the special teams, like 100%. And Ed Dixon, his punts were just insane every single time, ending them back into the back there. And then when they did get that recovery, and it almost happened before that. Like, it wasn't like it was just a complete fluke. It was he was nailing every single time, and it was loud. My voice is coming back a little bit. I think we hit 117 decibels. Do you know, like, what was the highest that you guys hit when you guys were at the stadium?
I think we hit, like, when they did the whole make some noise, I think it only got to like 111. But when Rashid Shaheed went back for the touchdown, I think it was clocked at 129 or something like that.
And that's, I mean,
you being 6'7" and standing, like, were anybody behind you saying like, you're a little too tall, sit down?
No, the stadium, because it's so steep there. Like, I actually didn't not blocking anyone. Like, it's set up pretty good. I mean, it's tight, like they're tight that way. But no, everyone was awesome. And I would say, like, in the area, there was a lot of season ticket holders there for sure. A lot of people, that's I think they come to all the games. Everyone was awesome. There was one guy he's a Seahawks fan, but he was just so negative. He's like, oh my God, they suck. I'm like, dude, like, we are winning right now. Like, let's have some positivity here.
Yeah. Like, did you see any Rams fans at all in the
There was a couple. There was like 3 behind us. And there was some for the stadium, but not too much. There was the classic, the Seahawk fans. And for everyone that doesn't know, like, the big chant is one person says C. What would you say?
Fuck.
Someone Hawks. Now, you do that when like when the other offense is on, when the Rams are on the field, you be as loud as you can. But when the Seahawks are on offense, you be as quiet as possible. And it's just so funny. You hear some people are still trying to scream and everything, and then you hear everyone else yelling at them. It's like, quiet. Like, we don't want to mess them up.
Awesome. I mean, your wife is probably not a huge Seahawks fan, right? She probably just part of the experience kind of thing, right?
Yeah, no, it was awesome, and we were able to get out of there. We didn't stay for like the entire like the chats after and handling like the trophy and everything. We got out. We grabbed, they have the scooters all around Seattle, like those Lime scooters. And so we were just ripping everywhere with those. We whipped to that sushi restaurant that I've talked about in the past, and had some amazing sushi. Went to sleep, had to catch an early train. And so, I mean, it's been about 3 days of heavy travel, but it was worth it.
Wow. So I remember when like when we're there, usually your voice is gone by the first quarter. Like where do you feel like your voice is kind of gone?
Pretty much, I mean, at the end of it, like it was, and at the start of it, I was just trying, you're trying to like change like your decibels of like not yelling as loud. But like as it got to the end of the game, you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're like, I don't care. I don't care if my voice is gone. I'm screaming as loud as possible right now.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it looked like the difference of the game was that that punt that turned it over when the guy tripped and fell back,
Yep.
and then we caught it and then turned it into a touchdown right away. And thankfully, Tariq Woolen's boneheaded play resulted in a touchdown, but it didn't hurt us. Like we still ended up winning, and then our defense didn't have our greatest day. I believe, other than Eamon Worry had a great game, but we kind of bent but didn't break. But thank goodness our offense, like Sam Darnold, had the game of his life, and hopefully he has another one at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. No, and he looked posed. I mean, there was some times that everything was like looking a bit rushed on the Seahawks, but it was just, yeah, everyone, it looked really good. And I mean, Matt Stafford though, like, oh my God, just insane. Just he was absolutely just throwing the ball.
Yeah, it was like it wasn't one of those comfortable games. It should have been a
Oh,
comfortable
should have
game,
been
but
comfortable.
without the Tariq, but it was probably like the game was in doubt right to the end, kind of
Oh,
like,
yeah.
no, there might be a Hail Mary or
I
whatever.
was
But
worried. I was worried at the 10-second mark because everyone was like, they're done. I'm like, no, I do not trust this right now.
yeah, and thankfully, I think was it Devin Witherspoon tackled Puka Nakua inbounds, so the
Yeah.
clock was still running,
Yeah.
and then game was over, and
It
then
was funny.
like
All like
I
Matt
yeah.
Stafford, Puka, they were all like, "No, screw this!" Like they were still lined up as if like it was going to keep going. And then the ref did come on. It was like, "No, guys, like the ball was down in bounds. It's over."
Yeah, awesome. I mean, we're gonna be talking about this for the next couple weeks until the actual Super Bowl, and it's gonna be amazing. We better start our show, shall we?
Yeah, let's jump into it. And I mean, I'll let you start us off here.
Yeah, so here's a report here that Canada's average home price dropped to 673,400 in December of 2025. Now, this chart here shows monthly mortgage payments required for an average home price since 2005, so 20 years ago, with a fitted trend line for the 2005 to July 2020 period. So, I mean, this kind of goes with the same thing as home prices. I mean, we've come down from the top, but I mean, even coming down from the COVID peaks, we're still like close to $400 above what a reasonable affordability is. Would you say so, Alex?
Yeah, and again, it depends on obviously the location you're at and everything that way. Like some places you can buy a home and it be cheaper than renting. Vancouver and Toronto are not one of those places. It is cheaper for you to keep renting than buy. But obviously, what's the pros and cons of that? I was talking to one couple and she's like, "Oh, I've just been saving money renting. In the last year, she's have to move 6 times." It's like, and I was like, "Have you calculated the money that you save?" She's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "All the moving and all that stuff." She's like, "No, I've just been doing the monthly." We went back and looked at it. She saved herself $1,000 compared if she would have just bought something a year ago.
Like $1,000 total.
$1,000 total, and not that's like all
But I
this.
realized,
Yeah. And so that's where it's again, if you have like I always tell people, you have a very secure rental, and it's like, hey, I can rent for $1,000, or if I buy it's 3,000, and you know that you're not leaving. Mathematically, of course, that makes sense. If you're going to invest that difference, be like, hey, if I would have bought it, would have cost me $3,000. I'm going to keep renting. I'm going to go invest $2,000 a month. We know that 99% of the population isn't going to do that, and also that's just not the case.
Urbanation has basically kind of declared that I mean, there's essentially going to be no new condo completions in the GTA or GTHA, which includes Hamilton. I mean, it's 4 consecutive years of dropping sales, and because of that, no one's building right now.
Yep.
And the building timeline is typically what, 4 or 5 years. By the end of the decade, there's going to be new completions at all.
We're in this nasty pendulum swing that we always talk about, Alex, that we're gonna be like, oh, like, and it's fine. Like, hey, yes, there is not many sales, so like probably building right now, but it's we're gonna hit a demand point again, and it's gonna drive prices up because we don't have the right supply. And so like we went really far that way, we went really far this way, and we got to somehow come into the middle.
Yeah, I mean, from a builder standpoint, I get they're not building, or the ones that they are building have been shifted towards rental because they don't have a choice because no one's buying anything. So they need to kind of stem the bleeding and try to get those off the books or help pay their mortgages and such.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, completions are expected to fall to 22,000 units in 2026 and only 14,000 units in 2027. So again, by 2029, Urban Nation says that virtually no new condos are expected to be delivered. But though, I mean,
Crazy.
it's a sad state of affairs, but that's kind of the basically the bottom falling out on the pre-sale market, right?
Yeah. I mean, all I could say is obviously all these workers that would be building these high-rise buildings and stuff, they're just going to be shit over to build these AI data centers. Like that's where a lot of these like this manpower is going to go, because let's pretend now that there was like we weren't going to be making these data centers. This would be catastrophic just for employment, because if all these people weren't building homes, like where are they all going to work? And so I mean, in a sense, you could say at least hopefully like we go over to building manufacturing and doing these things. But if that entire workforce doesn't have condos to build, like that is hundreds of thousands of people not working now.
Yeah, I can totally see a lot of these workers who are getting laid off in GTA and maybe in Greater Vancouver move to other provinces to where the building is happening,
Yep.
right? So do you want to touch on the next part?
Yeah, I mean, we got obviously the new condo sales in Metro Vancouver just had their worst year in a long time. Now again, they've seen a sales plunge 62% from last year and down at a whopping 85% from the peak levels in 2021. Again, like I feel like we we really should be taking 2021 out. Like it shouldn't be a data point that like anyone should be comparing to, because it was just a storm of everything. Very, very low interest rates. People not be able to go out to work. Like I'm just gonna buy a house. I couldn't go on vacation. The amount of people we were bringing in, it if you remove 2021 there, it's like, hey, 2017 really high, 2018, then 2019 it plummeted there. Obviously 2025 is the worst right now, but it's still like it would look a lot more of like a normal chart without 2021 in there.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, just like how we've seen, like it will level off. Um, and then like just like the chart last week we talked about in terms of comparing the US subprime crisis and the 1990s bear market. It'll come down, but it'll take a while to level out for a little bit. And yes, you're right. We don't see anything until end of the decade, to be honest with you. So, um, now here's a survey done by Wahi Realty, the barriers to entry for home buyers. Now, if you see this on the video side here, the majority of buyers are wanting to wait to see what happens with home prices. Now, I don't blame them. If I was in that same boat, I would be thinking the same thing too. Now, prices have come down 15-20% from the peak in certain areas. Um, Now, the big question is, could it go down more? Like, it is region specific. Of course, we always focus our talk on Greater Vancouver, GTA. Um, if you are a home buyer, yeah, it is possible. It might go down. Like if you waited till next year, it could go down a little bit more. But it all again points back to what's the point in your life now? Like, can you wait that year, or you've waited long enough and your finances are in a place where, like, you know what, we're in a good spot now. We did wait from the COVID peaks to where it is now. It's in the more affordable range. I'm quoting the affordable. It's probably still less affordable, but better. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a better time now. But now, if you're thinking as an investor, I mean, I don't even know if these investors exist anymore. But if you're thinking from a pure, like a stock perspective, yeah, sure, the value could be lower next year, but you're buying to live in. You're buying, like, you're buying when at the time of it's time for you in your life that it makes sense.
Yeah, now this is for a principal resident. That's where it's completely different. If you're looking at buying an investment property, like the data needs to be analyzed. Like especially in Vancouver, this is not the time to be buying an investment property. Now, if you were doing a development, is there some opportunity there? But again, it's trying to find the right place. But on a principal residence, it's again choosing like, hey, am I happy where I'm at today? Is this a place that I want to live at? I never think of myself, Alex, a principal residence as an investment. I think of a bit of like a high interest savings account, but that's just where you have to look at. There's when I say when people are buying, it's obviously there is an investment portion to it, but it's also like your lifestyle and where do you want to live. It's kind of funny. I remember being younger. I'm like, I always remember realtors being like the walk score. You got to be in the right place for the school and everything. I was like, I don't give a shit about that. I just want the best house at the best price. Till I realized, like, oh, I actually do care where my kid goes to school. I do want to be able to walk to things. I was like, oh shit, some of this stuff actually does matter.
Yeah, yeah, like, and especially if you're buying, you know, to live in, you're not going to move out after a year. So, like, you'll see that the value's gone down a year and be like, "Oh, shoot, we made the wrong decision." But you're planning your routes for where you want to live, depending on where you are on life. If you're starting out or you're upgrading to a place in the catchment where you want to put your kids in the school, and you're going to be there for at least 10, 15 years until the kids graduate or whatever, something like that. So I wouldn't worry about the 1 year of the value going down or a couple of years. You're buying there to live in long term. I mean, the way real estate works, it'll eventually come back up, right? It's not saying that every year is going to go up, but on a long term trend, it'll bounce back. It might take a couple of years for that to happen, but it'll level out and bounce back up. Now, a few other the reasons why barriers to entry on this survey here is that not sure if I found the right property. Um, that's always the case with home buyers here. Waiting to see what happens with interest rates. Yeah, that's one of the tied for the second most there. Now, your take, we've talked about again. Where do you think is interest rates going to be this year, Alex?
Uh, I I believe where we're at, to be honest, Alex, like maybe a tiny bit lower on the fixed side. I think variable at the moment are going to be where they're staying. And and I would be budgeting that way. I would not be expecting a rate cut. Hey, if something happens and the economy changes, hey, maybe it gets the benefit for you. But all the data right now does not show anything that any more rate cuts are happening.
Yeah, I'm on that side too. It'll probably be about the same, maybe a 1/4% lower on the prime or even fixed rate side. Of course, we're still in January as we're recording. We've recorded that, hey, if things are going to happen, we're going to have to see more months of this not so great news for our tune to change in the spring, possibly, in the middle of the year.
Yeah. Now, this is a big one, and this is obviously so the mortgage renewal shock actually proves smaller than expected. This is obviously a big and due because of rates have come down significantly from when everyone was talking about, oh my God, if in 5 years interest rates are at the 5-6%, my payment shock is going to be crazy. And I still get people, Alex, that are calling right now that they think, hey, I got 1.5% today, and it's at 4%, 4.5. They believe that their mortgage, their payment is actually going to double and triple. I remember talking about this back in 2021, 2022, when rates were going up. Everyone's like, yeah, the interest rates goes up, your payment's going to double. It's like, no, that's not how the math actually works. And so with this chart, if anyone can look at it, is showing what was the expected by some of the big banks. You had BMO saying it'd probably be about 400 as the increased payment shock. Scotia, the Bank of Nova Scotia, said it was around set almost $800, which if rates did not drop at all, they probably would have been the more correct ones. You then got CIBC and National Bank all around like 500. But the reality of it, it's more like $200. Now, this depends on the mortgage size for people because I've seen some that are $600 and $800. Also depends on the amortization. Obviously, if you started at a 25-year, it's been 5 years, you're now at 20 years. If you did any lump sums, if you did any accelerated payments, you're also going to be lower than that. And that's where the payment is going to increase. But hey, you're also putting a lot of that money towards principal. And so it's trying to find that balancing act. It's more the people that took out $1 million mortgages, they bought boats, they bought cars. They're the ones that are really hurting.
Yeah, at the same time too, this payment shock is not as bad as expected. Is that, people who are renewing too, they have the ability, to go with their bank and stretch out the amortization as well. Like your example from 25 to 20, maybe to reduce the payment shock, they'll just stretch the amortization back out to 30 years again. Um, so, and then, I mean, we've been warning people since the beginning of this pod. Uh, Enjoy that 1.5% fixed. Uh, it will increase, so prepare accordingly. So, so
Yeah, and again, obviously, it's I have one that just came up from that rate. It now again my because the mortgage I owe and everything, the payment we're talking like $50, and even if I keep my same amortization, so it's not devastating. Obviously, hey, I already attuned my budget to it. I was pretending that rates were already higher. That's when I bought a new place. I pretended that rates were 5%, which they weren't. And so as long as you budget ahead of time, it's not going to be devastating. But if you had planned that, hey, rates are going to get back to 2% at some point, it's going to really hurt your budget.
now speaking of budget, Canadian household debt has now surpassed the size of the entire economy. Now, total household debt is sitting around 3.14 trillion as of September 2025, while Canada's nominal GDP is roughly only 3 to 3.1 trillion. Now, it's based on 2025 IMF data. Now, yeah, if you take a look at this graph here, it's just staggering how household debt has increased. I mean, yeah, due to house prices, um, and like cost of living is just soared, and people having to rely on living on credit and lines of credit and such.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, that's where it's sad, but some people are doing it also because they're trying to live a more lavish lifestyle. I'm sorry, I don't feel bad for those people. It's the people that, hey, they're just not able to get ahead. Maybe they had major layoffs in the working industry, or hey, something happened in the family. Maybe only one person can work. Like that is where people are having to take from their credit cards, their line of credit, just to keep trying to survive. It's the people that, hey, if you want to trying to live a lavish lifestyle and you're complaining that debt's too high, that's a you problem.
Yeah, 100%. And this little bit here too is like it's almost like the government is not allowing the housing market to collapse. Not like the US style collapse. Like, yeah, sure, it's pulled back like, 15-20%, but not like a 80% collapse like how the US is, because, the federal government just, they purchase an estimated 30 to 40 billion a year in CMHC insured mortgages, to support stability. And what that means is basically government backed, um, mortgages, like just to back the financial system. And you know what CMHC is? It's really taxpayer funded. So it's almost like, yeah, we can't let our housing market drop like how like stocks was or the housing crisis was in the States.
Yeah, and and again, it's the government is doing that for one. It's yes, they don't want the housing market, but it's also it is for the boomers. A lot of their value is inside of real estate. And if a politician wanted to stay in power, they are the higher demographic for voting. And so obviously, if they were to say, "Hey, we're going to let home prices drop 200,000," in their case, there would be an uproar from those type of people as well. This is interesting, and I always the highest vacancy in a decade. Yardi now is Canada's rental vacancy rate at 4.5%. When I do budgeting for all people when looking at investment properties, everything, I use 6%. They're like, well, the normal is 2%. I'm like, I don't like to go by the normal. I want to know what if something bad happens? Do the numbers still work then? And so I like to see that. Hey, I'm conservative on top of conservative.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this graph here, I mean, Vancouver here, we're sitting at probably what, 4.3%. Toronto, like probably 4.6% ish. Yeah, vacancy rate, you can see here, vacancy rates are climbing here, like in Alberta, Calgary, and Edmonton. Alberta being the darlings of that period of 23 to 24 when rates were high. No one was buying anything across the country except Alberta. It looks like the pendulum is swinged that way too, where the oversupply, immigration cutting off now, and vacancy rates have skyrocketed, which, like, people who are investors, like, Um, if you are in these major metropolitan centers, probably having a hard time trying to rent out your unit, either having to drop your rent or provide incentives. Now, it's probably not the case where you're living, right, on the island, Alex?
No, it's we're our rent is still going up. It is, yeah, nothing. There's not major vacancies and everything. We have some of like the rental like pools, but you have to meet certain thresholds, and everyone's like, well, why is that not rented out? Why do they just rent it out? But it's they can only rent it out if your income's less than 80,000. So there's all these different things that they have to hit. If they didn't do that, they wouldn't get the rate financing. And so that's where there is places that aren't being rented, and everyone's like, well, we have a rental shortage. Why is this? And it's because the people that are trying to rent it don't meet the standards, and they're very low standards. It's hard. I mean, even we were just at the dentist last week, and I mean, the household income has to be under 90,000. Now, I know a lot of people aren't able to make that obviously as one person, but when two people are working and making even just 45,000, you honestly hit that 90,000 right away, and you're like, oh shit, I now don't get this. In some cases, people are working less because it benefits them more in rental, cheaper rental housing, and obviously in the dental now, which I don't love that. Like, and we're now creating people that say, hey, you actually should work less because you're going to benefit more from it.
Yeah, that's not the right way to do it. I mean, I'd like to think most people they want to better their lives, not take advantage of the system.
Yep.
But yeah, yeah, it's just a shame that that happens that way. Now, you being on the island, seeing more busier real estate market than what I'm seeing here in the Greater Vancouver area. Are you seeing that people are moving from the mainland to the island, or what's most
Quite
of
a
the
Yeah, quite a
yeah.
bit of people. Yeah, lots of people that are moving from there. Like we got people coming from Squamish and everything that are coming here, even from Vancouver. They're selling places at 1.2, 1.3, and they get to buy a house at 800,000. It is cheap to them. They're drastically reducing their budget. Some of the cost of stuff is cheaper here. And so it is a win-win in their eyes.
And are all these people like work from home people, or are they
Majority of
just
people, yeah, majority of people work from home or there's doctors. A lot of doctors actually coming from Calgary, it seems like right now. That's a big one. People are moving, and it's just people are done with the cold. It's again, people are so used to having like they come to BC and they're like, man, this weather's awesome. And then they're like, I'm sick of this cold. Or nurses and stuff, they're transferring. Hardest thing is like, let's say out to your electrician. Obviously, unless you could internally transfer to the same company, well, for them to buy on the island, they either have to buy an investment property to be able to move down in the road, or they need to come here, live for a bit, get a new job for us to actually use the income.
I mean, people we always said before, like, oh yeah, it's cheaper to live in Alberta. Well, it's cheap for a reason. There is no like freebies in life. The
Yeah.
reason why it's cheap, it's like your lifestyle is different. It's hot summers, cold winters. And I'm not talking about the wet coast cold. We're talking about like -30, -40, snowing all the time, all that stuff. I mean, we're spoiled in the West Coast when it's 5 degrees and cold. Like that's cold because it's a wet kind of cold that gets into your bones. And I guess for those out in the rest of the country making fun of us, I'm like, it's not cold. Well, wait till you come here. Like,
I mean,
get to
I worked in those cold Alex. I'll take like it is easy to like stay dry and like keep yourself like if you're out working in the wet, like you can keep yourself warm and dry. Where it's -40 in the wind chill, like you can only put so much clothes on before you can't even move. I would much rather our weather compared to that weather, and that's of course everyone else wants to move here because of that.
yeah, and that's probably one of the reasons why since we're the mildest climate in Canada, why BC, Greater Vancouver is the most expensive in the country.
Yep.
Um, I'm born and raised here, so I don't know any different. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, like, is it really that nice here? Like, I'm like, oh, I guess so.
But
I can
again, like
visit everything.
we talk, I think we talked about this before. Like when you travel, you're like, oh well, like I like to go and say waterfalls. We travel and I always try and find waterfalls wherever we go, and I'm just like, oh well, that sucks. Like I have a bigger one in my back, like in our backyard is better than that. And like we fully take for granted what we have. And I know for myself on the island, all the stuff we have.
Yeah. So we shift gears here, talk about a few, industry related things here. A report by Bloomberg is citing that nearly 40%, so essentially 30 billion out of the 80 billion of Canadian real estate investment funds have restricted or halted withdrawals amid a current housing market downturn, with prices down 18% from the peak. What I mean by real estate investment funds, so maybe people who invested in private mortgages, real estate investment trusts,
REITs.
um, REITs, anything like that.
Yeah.
They are halting people from like redemptions, meaning like I want to cash out, I want my money back. They're like, nope, we're not letting you. Um, you know, but like it's not, they're not really describing it as a collapse, but liquidity issues are kind of widespread, and liquidity means they don't want something like a bank run where everyone's scared, so everyone wants to redeem. Well, you know what? Like it's 30 billion or whatever, 80 billion invested doesn't mean there's 80 billion dollars in a bank account.
Nope.
It's it's invested somewhere. It's like, like in order for it to be liquid, what has to happen? Like there needs to be sales, right? There
Yeah,
needs
I
to
mean,
be
there's the
transactions.
only liquid in there is if you had cash sitting in a bank account or sitting in a vault. Even stocks, like they're not liquid. If a run on stocks, well, you may not be able to because the stock may go down. You may not. And yes, stocks are a more liquid investment than real estate. And then even if you talk about private mortgages, but most of the people they're signing for 1 year terms and everything. But obviously, some of these deals are going longer. I would say a lot of this is also from like Vancouver and Toronto. And for one, people can't even get out of these private mortgages because they're like, well, I can't even go to a bank now. I don't qualify, or appraisals have gone down lower. And so some of them, like the funds are stuck there because like they can't move it anymore.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, like, I have a few clients who are private mortgages. They've just had to renew because their situation hasn't improved enough that they, yeah. So, and then as an investor, if you're investing in a private mortgage, they want to get out, but they may not be able to, or you just have to renew and such. So,
Yeah. Now, this is nice to see. The agents who got screwed by the iPro and only received half of their commissions will now receive 100% after the protests were heard. And this is, I think, it's coming directly from Rika on their actual like insurance and everything. This upholds the transparency, accountability, and public confidence in the real estate industry. I mean, if they didn't do this, it'd be like, why? I'd be like, well, why would I be giving you guys money to say that you're meant to be protecting me and the clients? It's like, well, I'll just take my own money and I'll keep it myself.
yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it looks like the money is gone from the owners who took that money and skipped town. But I guess this is probably just an insurance claim where uh, uh, the agents receive the 100% of their commission. So I mean that's kind of good. I mean initially it was announced that they'll get half of it, but we're like, what are you talking about half? You got to get all of it. It's
Yeah.
just one of those things. So um, this this is the right thing that they're doing. So finally, it took several months for that to happen, but I'm glad this finally, the right thing rules the day. Now we shift gears here in terms of more of the non-housing side. Now yesterday, Carney announced a 25% boost to the GST rebate to help low to modest income families with the rising cost of food. Other measures he announced was including 500 million in capital investment funding for food businesses and 20 million for food banks.
Yeah. I mean, I like
Thoughts on
seeing
that?
I like seeing that. I just want to actually know that the money is going to get people food. Is it just going into capital of like we're going to give this company a bunch of money to say that they're going to give out a bunch of food? And hey, out of that 500 million, we actually only spent 100 million on food. It's like, you know what? I would like to know that 400 million is going to food to feed people and 100 million to run the infrastructure to do it.
Yeah, and like we talked about this last week about like oligopolies, even in the food, the Sobeys, the Metros, the Loblaws. Like, I hope this doesn't mean all of a sudden that their coffers have been lined and you know food inflation
Totally.
is just going up and up, and they're still making record profits. Like, oh my goodness, this is not right. Like, yeah, I hope there's some kind of accountability when it comes to this kind of thing here.
Yeah, I would like to, and that's just where we would like to see more. And like, because they're saying like only 20 million for food banks. It's like, well, shouldn't probably more money needs to be going to the food banks. Like if 500 million is going to like what you said, law blows and stuff, it's like, why the hell are they getting more money? They're making record profits. And then we got in Canada here, there's 2.1 million temporary migrants in Canada that are going to lose their immigration status by the end of 2026, which again, it's going to affect everything else. And there are approximately 200,000 to 500,000 illegal migrants currently living in Canada. Now, this is the debate, and I don't want to get into it. Is obviously, well, why are they here? Obviously, they had to run away from other places. And again, it's just the and this is the debate, and especially in the US, like being around there, Alex, you see like ICE and everything, all that stuff. There was a couple protests and everything. And I mean, for me, it's I have a hard time understanding. Well, these people are here for one. A majority of them are here because they're scared for their safety. Of course, there is a small percentage that are also here because they're doing bad things, and they're doing it for the cartels, all these other things. And that's where it's like it's such a it's such a hard thing to find. Like, what is the fine line of, hey, all of you have to be deported because all of you are bad? Where it's like, well, no, out of a million people, there's probably 10,000 that are actually bad and the rest are actually good.
It's one of those things where I guess they were thinking that, once their immigration status ended, they would naturally go home, but that seems kind of naive. Now, I mean, according to CBSA data, only 18,000 illegals were deported in 24 or 25. Now, like, will we ever see ICE raids like we see in the US? I mean, probably not. Like, in order for this to happen, we would need a massive expansion to the CBSA to enforce these laws. So, like, more money to for that to boost the CBSA. And I don't know. Do you see that happening?
No, and like the thing that like again, like for one, Canada benefits from even these illegal immigrants. Like we benefit from a whole. The more people in Canada benefits our economy. Same thing with the US. If they deported every single person in there, their economy would drop instantly. And so it's obviously they're making sure they're appreciating, saying like, oh, we're trying to do this for you to the right people. Over here, they're trying to appease the left people. They know that they don't want to, they're not trying to deport every single person here that's not illegal, because it would drop the economy instantly.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, it seems like a lot. I mean, they probably need to expand it a bit. I mean, I'm like, they're not going to deport 200, 500,000. I can tell you that. I mean, this 18,000 could increase to like, I don't know, 25 to 50, but it would involve investment. So what does that mean? Does that mean they need to divert any of the money they gave to Ukraine or foreign aid to more internal stuff? Like,
Yep.
like you and I talked about it, like, yes, like they would need to do that. Whether they're actually going to do it, it's again, it's all a political thing, whether they're going to do it or not. And we know what they should do. It's whether they will do it.
Yeah. No.
So here's I talked about what we talked about last week about oligopolies. So when it comes to banking and open banking, had a comment from a loyal follower who has good authority on the subject here. And he commented he's listening on YouTube and Spotify, and he messaged me privately to talk about it. And I'm like, hey, can you give me some more detail? Because I want to give you credit. And he doesn't want to be named by name, but you know who you are. Thank you so much for being a loyal follower. He's mentioning that there is incoming legislation mandating it for the federal banks, open banking. Do you want to explain to our followers what open banking is, Alex?
I mean, open banking, like right now, to get access to even your bank statements, you have to go to TD directly, and TD does not talk to RBC. RBC does not talk to TD. Everything is it, and the banks know it, and they do it to make it hard. They don't want you to ever leave RBC. They don't ever want you to leave TD. They want to keep everything that way. Open banking, for one, will allow more control for the government to also have access to funds for people, which do we like that? Do we not like it? It can be a pro and a con, but it would make it easier for mortgage financing. It'd be like, hey, instead of us having to chase down every single person's down payment document and their income slips, it would all instantly be accessible. And For people that are scared of, oh, like the government oversight, this has already happened in many countries, like in Singapore and everything. They have full open banking and it works great for them. In the UK, they have a bit of this. And it just honestly gives more flexibility and the banks less control. The banks really do not want this. I would put money they are going to fight this tooth and nail. For one, there is money laundering, and this is going to be able to catch it quicker.
Yeah. I mean, so my source said that this is more, it's probably coming sooner on the banking side, whereas the security side in terms of investments, it might be a little bit slower, more red tape to go through because it's all about privacy and stuff.
Yep.
But he did say that Carney's budget last year confirmed it's coming. So it's embedded in privacy legislation and not security. So there's going to be limits on what they can do. Like Alex said, countries are already doing it: Singapore, UK, as well as US, Brazil, India, Bahrain, um, Hong Kong, and Australia. So my source said that the analogy I like to give is cell phone number portability. Do you remember those days when, this is not too long ago, when the cell phone we had, whether it be Rogers, Telus, Bell, whatever, if you wanted to change providers to get a better deal, you'd lose your phone number. Do you remember those days, Alex?
Yeah.
And because of not being able to do, like, no one's gonna wanna lose their phone number. Because of that mobility company has you by the balls, and we don't need to give you the best deal because you're gonna stay.
Yeah.
Now, as soon as number portability became a thing, it's now like, geez, as long as you own your phone outright, you can just move your phone elsewhere for the better deal. So he's kind of equating open banking to that.
Yep.
Um, like, it's basically a simple, like, you log into a portal, you can see your RBC account, TD account, Scotia account, whatever accounts that you have, all in one place. Like, a lot of us have accounts in separate institutions, and we probably already know like where things are, but this allows open banking to have everything in one portal. Now, it still needs to determine later on, like, if you need to check an account through this portal, do you have to log directly into this account, or is this just a snapshot? Are you able to actually access your RBC account from this portal? And like, it's technically, he's saying it's something about APIs, giving permissions and such like that. So,
And that's
but
just, I mean, I think the banks gonna have,
yeah,
for their systems are so old, even right now, like they're working on systems from the 50s, and that's why that's gonna take a very long time. And I mean, they're gonna try and delay it, but I would say they'll probably give an access to say, hey, okay, we'll send you an overview so you can see the banking information in one spot. But yeah, you're gonna have to log in if you want to do anything. The whole point of it is to not have to do that, but I would say that's not gonna happen for a long, long time.
yeah, but the fact that there's legislation on it is like, we're moving this forward. It might take a long time. Just like, I mean, the lobbying from, like, even in BC to in order to get Uber, to get ride sharing, that took freaking what, 10 years?
Yeah.
But the same thing, the taxi companies were lobbying against it. So it's good that it's tabled, and it's something that we need to move on here.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's a benefit. I have no problem with it. It will make easier for financing. Again, it will give less control to the banks and everything. But there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, "Oh, this is the government's looking at my money. They're going to see what I'm doing." The banks, that already is happening. If you're putting money into your bank account, they already know the banks have to give information to the government. For one, hey, there was a check deposit of 10,000. Did you document where it is? Like, this is all stuff that's already happening. So if you want to put your tinfoil hat on, obviously you could do that for everything. Our phones are listening to us right now. And again, we're probably going to be getting all the open banking stuff. It's going to come up on our Facebook here today. So if you don't want that stuff, like, hey, the way that happens is you got to go off the grid. I'm fine if people say that and they're the ones that complain about it, then all the power to them. But that people that use their phones and all this stuff and then complain about the government oversights, like, you're already allowing people to have access to it. If you actually read, like, the stuff when you sign up for a new app, it gives access to all that stuff. The Canada's western provinces and territories, we got BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut, sign an MOU to accelerate development and supply chain and exports of the responsibly sourced critical minerals. Now, again, this is an MOU. Does not mean that this is actually happening. It is an agreement, and hey, it's great to have everyone talking about this. Now, I would say the one that is going to be the least able to actually negotiate properly is probably going to be BC. All these other provinces probably would sign, and the territories would sign something today to make sure this happens. BC is going to say, "Well, we can't do it because we have to keep everything clean." It's like, well, don't worry, it's all happening in another country, so you can sleep good at night knowing that we're not doing it directly in BC. Um, I think this is in here, like, it has a huge opportunity being developed, especially with the new power line going in that we are starting to build. Like, there's so many resources here. For one, not even talking about oil in BC and Alberta, just talking about our minerals and everything. Like, we could be leading the way in so many other areas.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this on the video side here, the northern BC is basically a powerhouse for our BC mining industry here. There's going to be a construction of 24 mines in northern BC that could deliver 69 billion in economic activity for BC as well as the rest of Canada here. Um, yeah, like things like minerals like copper, gold, silver, nickel, cobalt. I don't even know what this one is. Molybdenum. I don't know what that is.
Yep.
Zinc,
Niobium.
neobium, rare earth, steel making coal. So, you know what? This is we talk about we need to extract our resources and sell it to the world. I mean, from a local standpoint, and we talk about trades, entrepreneurs, and stuff. You could be looking into stimulating these communities in northern BC. Um, you know, I mean, for those in trades, you could have a good quality of life moving up to northern BC and working there because, especially it's affordable. You can have a house. It's probably even cheaper than the island,
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
the only thing I see with this, Alex, is again we need a better plan. This happened with our forest industry. Like, these towns became booming, even the fishing industry. These towns were booming and everything, but then obviously as that starts to die off, and so these are things that they're not going to like. For one, the mines aren't going to last forever. Like, there needs to be a plan and infrastructure. And I would say, like, hey, if I was a younger person, I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm already in the mining industry. I'm gonna go move to one of these new ones. I might buy a house, but like, hey, it's going to be a 5-year plan. I'm going to save up as much money as I can. So I get to come back to Vancouver Island, get to come back to Vancouver, and maybe slow to a slower career. Maybe I don't have to work 12, 14-hour shifts. A lot of people are going to take these and they're going to run with them and be like, I'm making 150K. I'm going to go buy a new boat. I'm going to go buy that snowmobile. And they're going to come out of it with $0.
Yeah, yeah. Much like. Do you see that as much for people that work in the oil sands in
Oh
Fort
yeah.
McMurray and stuff like that?
I mean, I worked it myself, and it just blew my mind the amount of money that people were spending, and just especially I was lucky enough I didn't have to work in Fort Mac very often, to be honest, Alex. I mainly got to travel all across Canada working on pipelines and everything. But every person I went there was just so down on their life. They just hated their life. All they were doing was working to pay bills, and they had no enjoyment. I'm like, why? Like, why are you doing this? And the people that you surround yourself with, if you have complainers at work, it makes you not enjoy your work. The first time I went to Fort Mac, I'm like, I'm done. I'm out of here. I don't care. You could pay me $1 million and I wouldn't want to be there. Just because of the attitude of people. There is people that use it properly. They make money. They come back. When I worked on the pipe, most of our crews were awesome. Everyone was super excited. But I also remember people are like, Alex, how are you buying all these homes? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we just never have any money. I'm like, I stay in a $50 a night hotel. I cook my food in a rice cooker. So I save. We used to get $250 a day from LOA. That's non-taxable. I would save as much of that money as I could on top of my pay stub. But they'd go and stay in a $250 a night hotel, and they'd wonder, well, why do I not have any money left over? It's like, hey, you're choosing lifestyle to live in something nicer, and I'm choosing to live in something shitty right now. As I had more money, I'm like, okay, I can now go into the nicer hotels. I never was going to the 250, but I came from 50 to like 100. It's like, okay, Alex, you deserve to stay in a room that maybe is just not one wall.
So, I mean, this is a classic case of you make a lot of money, but you blow it just as fast.
Yep.
Like I remember, this is me, different industry in my 20s, working in a hospitality, and as a 20-year-old working in fine dining. My goodness, I make some good tips, and at the time, I didn't have financial literacy and I blew it as fast as I made it. We went out to 8. And during my time, I'm a car guy. I fixed up my freaking Acura Integra, put some rims, lowered it and all that stuff. And my money was gone.
Yeah.
And I realized if I need to make more money, I just picked up more shifts.
Yeah.
And maybe that's very much the case here with oil sands and even the minerals and that kind of lifestyle is like easy come, easy go kind of thing. And until you have that financial discipline in being like, spend less that you make and, reduce your lifestyle, it's hard because you're kind of going against like all the people around you who are doing the same thing. So you really need to
Oh,
fight
it's
against
hard.
it,
And I mean, I've always in it. I remember the first time, Alex, I was 17. I went out on a dive boat, and I was a tender. I made in 65 days, I made $10,000. And I was like, holy shit, this is insane. That money was gone in 30 days. I don't even, I think the only thing I had to show for it was like a cell phone. And after that, I was like, holy shit. Like, and I was trying to live.
what to do with the money.
I think it was food and drink and like stuff. And I'm like, I was trying to live up to what I saw other people doing. And again, it's even gotten worse now with social media on our phones. Like we see people, and I mean, I even sometimes feel bad. Like I'm posting that I was at the Seattle Seahawks game. I had people ask me like, oh my God, Alex, how much were those tickets? I'm like, no, no, no. I bought these at face value. I would not be going to this game if I bought them at regular price. I wouldn't have done it. But again, social media, it portrays a different lifestyle if you allow it to. And that's why I really try and like help people say like, you got to find a budget, stay within that budget so you can still enjoy your life. It's great to say that Bob and Ann have $1 million house and they look amazing. They show all their videos on social media. They're probably hating their life.
Yeah, like speaking of personal budgeting, I had the opportunity to also go to the NFC Championship game, and that would mean I'd go to Seattle 2 weekends in a row. And
Yep.
I kind of valued my life a little bit more because my wife probably wouldn't like it. Saying like, "Hey, you say you're always broke all the time." And like, what? So I think that my better judgment said, you know what, I really want to go, but I don't think it's a good idea. So I'm like, yeah, Alex, you want to buy my tickets? Give it to you at cost. So it worked out. And
Yeah, it
of
works
course,
out.
yeah, we were all curious about how much Super Bowl tickets were cost. Hey, like, how much? Of course, I have no intention of going because I knew prices would be astronomical. So we got email from our season ticket holder thing with the Seahawks. We didn't win the draw to be able to buy Super Bowl tickets, but how much would it cost for these Super Bowl experiences that includes a ticket? And it starts from $8,000 US.
Yeah.
So that's what, 11 grand Canadian. I'm like, no thanks. And then you have to include your flight, hotel, and everything on top of that. That's easily $15,000-$20,000 trip per person
Per person.
for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so I was, some people have posted how much Super Bowl tickets cost. Like just buying the tickets. I think it's through StubHub on the resale market. We're talking like the cheapest seat was like 17 grand US or whatever.
Insane.
The one, if you're on the lower bowl, like, 50-yard line, we're talking $250,000 tickets. Like,
Just
what normal person can afford that? Like, we're talking about like probably the star athletes, the celebrities that, that want to be at the event because they want to, show their face kind of thing. Like,
But yeah, it's the people out, and I mean, there will be people there out there probably making $60,000 a year, and they're like, I'm gonna go spend, I'm gonna put $17,000 on my credit card, and they'll do it, and they'll think like, oh, I'll pay it back. It might take me 5 years, and that's if you can't pay that in cash, you should not be doing that.
yeah. But you know what? Like most of us, we're just gonna hit up a sports pub that weekend. I'm actually gonna be in Kelowna, so we're gonna hit up a sports pub in Kelowna.
Yeah.
Have our Seahawks gear. So I mean, this kind of wraps up our episode. We have probably a couple more episodes before the Super Bowl, so we're probably going to be wearing Seahawks gear for the next couple of episodes. On behalf of Alex Shanks, I'm Alex Pang. Thanks for tuning in to episode 72 of the Canadian Mortgage Show. We'll see you next time.
Talk to you later.
Now, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure to follow us. Please give us a 5-star rating. You can even send us an email because we want to know what you guys want to hear about. That's what we're here for. Reach out anytime.